Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Blake Kirkshanks, and today I'm going to be talking about why socialism would be a bad idea to transition from our US government right now from a capitalist government to a socialistic government. But before we really even get talking about any of that, I would first like to discuss about a little scenario that's going to help you guys better grasp this situation and what I'm really talking about. So, let's say since we're all students, I will connect it to some sort of a school scenario. Everybody knows that the kids who get A's, straight A's, 4.0 GPAs are the ones who put in, the most amount of hours of time, the best work. They dedicate a lot of their time to school, and they sacrifice a lot of free time or spending time with their friends, going places. They sacrifice a lot of their time to make sure that what they're turning in is their best quality work. So they work really, really hard, and they put in a lot of effort to make sure that their work is quality work. And they get those grades because they work hard. Now, there's another student. There is the student who slacks off, doesn't show up to class. He doesn't really do any of his work. He is just a slacker, and he has failing grades. He's not passing any of his classes. Now, let's say we were going to use that scenario as a socialistic scenario. The person that got all the A's, the student that worked his ass off, he worked really, really hard, he got good grades, did good on tests, he studied, everything that he worked for, he's going to give half of that to the other guy, because everybody else has to be equal in a socialistic society. So therefore, the guy who worked so hard and put in the most amount of hours of time and did the best quality work he could do has to give it up just so the other guy can be equal to him, because that's what socialism is. It's an equal society. Everybody is equal to everybody. There is no upper class division or lower class division. Everyone is equal. And that brings me into my first main point. My first main point talks about recent studies from Stanford's Encyclopedia of Philosophy. And they talk about why people should be afraid of socialism and why pretty much it is a bad thing and it's not going to be good if we transition to it. They bring in a bunch of good points. They talk about how if some of the collateral damage is going to happen if we transition from a capitalist society to a socialistic society, and how it's going to just, one, wreck our economy, and two, it's just going to completely ruin everything that we've built from the ground up today ever since we've had our founding fathers create this country. And that's pretty valid. There's a lot of good, what's the word for it, credentials. They're very credible. Stanford is, it's a super prestigious university, so therefore, if you don't believe them, then that'd be kind of stupid. But without all that, let's talk about some of the history of socialism and what socialism really is. So, way back, socialism dates all the way back to ancient Greek times, where philosophy was very popular, and it was, just starting to blow up. People are really starting to think about stuff, and they're kind of just evolving, really. An ancient philosopher by the name of Plato, he started thinking about a depicted collective society. Kind of, just it's the birth of socialism. Later on, there was another philosopher who goes by the name of Thomas More. Thomas More kind of took Plato's ideas and built them into something more. He took Plato's ideas and put together a sort of utopia where people will live on almost like a deserted island, I guess it was the example he used, where there's no such thing as money, and they work commutatively and they work for each other. Everybody is equal, everybody works for each other. And this sort of kind of got people thinking. It kind of got them kickstarting, like, hey, that might not be that bad, that might not be terrible. So people were still thinking over time and time. Later on in history, we get the 1800s. We hit that time frame. Kind of a big jump, I know, but still, we are introduced to another person, another philosopher who goes by the name of Karl Marx. Pretty popular name. You probably heard of him before. He was a theoretical philosopher. He liked to think. He liked to bring things up in his mind and whatnot. he said that Plato and More's ideas were completely, unrealistic, and that they were just dreams, and there was no way that we could create a society that would work functionally in that kind of scenario. So he started publishing a bunch of books with all this information that he was coming up with in his mind. He said, hey, maybe we could, take ideas from Plato and Thomas More and bring them over here and kind of mess with them, tweak them a little bit, and then we can use them. Karl Marx was not very good with coming up with ideas because they didn't seem very successful, and that's all opinionated to me. That's 100% opinion, but that's part of the speech. It's a persuasive speech. I'm trying to get you to understand my opinion. But he brought all that stuff up, and it wasn't good. People didn't really believe it would be good. He published books, a realistic social society, that he would state them in his ideas. He would state them as functional, and just pretty much they would work. It'd be a functional society, and it would be a flourishing society. They would flourish. They would live a lavish life. The only problem with that is the whole taxation. That's where you get that unequal part. So this is where I bring in my example. Let's say there's me, and I was equal to that student who worked really, really hard and got all the A's, and I have 4 quarters right here, right? So I own 4 quarters. Let's say that other student is right behind me and you can't really see him, but he's there. If I am part of the upper class that worked really hard, I have to pay 2 of my 4 quarters to this guy so that now we're equal. Even though he didn't do anything to deserve it and I worked hard to earn these 4 quarters, I have to give it to him because everybody's equal. So the people who don't work hard, the people who don't really want to be anything, they get it for free in a socialistic society. And then that brings us into present days. We have Bernie Sanders, we have Alexandria, I think what her name was. She was another Democratic politician. But they are promising all of these young people, and almost not, I don't want to say brainwashing, but they're filling them with false information, saying that they are going to be living this lavish life, and they are going to be living like the upper class people who work so hard to get where they're at today, and they put in all the time and dedication, blood, sweat, and tears to get where they're at. And they think that if they vote for him and he gets elected president, then this is all going to become true. That's not, it doesn't work like that. I'm running out of time, so I want to say thank you guys for listening, and I'm sorry if this wasn't a very good, well thought out speech, but thank you guys for your time, and I hope to see you all soon.